Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today. Well, the Nuclear Power Plants Authority announced that Egypt began the construction of the first reactor of Al Dab'a plant, the country's first nuclear power plant to generate electricity. Well, to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to host today in the breakfast show our dear guest, Dr. Hafez Salmawy, former chairman of Electricity Regulatory Authority and professor of energy, Cairo University. Zagazig University.
Zagazig
yes,
University, yes.
Yes. So, Doctor, could you tell us your insight concerning Egypt's keenness to start the construction of the Dab'a nuclear plant?
The nuclear program, as we know, come in the essence that Egypt looking to diversify its energy supply. One of the lessons we have learned from the energy crisis we have it before, that relying just on one resource might lead to a problem if this resource has some interruptions. So the decision was within the Egypt strategy is to diversify supply. And this is why nuclear power plant came into the scene. Also, nuclear power plant is a green kind of energy. There is no emission coming out from these plants. There is no CO2 emission. So it's fit in diversifying supply as well as reduce emissions, as well cost for electricity generated from nuclear power plant is considered one of the lowest from the conventional supply plants. Egypt has an agreement for the construction of 4 units of nuclear power plant. Each unit has 1,200 megawatt capacity, so the total program is 4.8 gigawatt capacity. This will represent around 8%, from 7 to 8% of the total energy consumed, the energy generated from this plant by 2040. So it's part, but it's not substantial, which means that this is a diversification effect. In 2017, Egypt signed the agreement with the Russian partner, Russian company, for the construction of these 4 plants. And the last 4 years was consumed in getting permissions, because nuclear power plants are a little bit different from a conventional power plant, where you need a lot of permissions from different authorities, specifically Nuclear Safety Authority. You need also permission from the IEA, which is the International Nuclear Energy Agency. So this is consumed in the last 4 years. In addition, site preparations. In addition, we remember last year the startup for the construction of the manufacturing of the first container of the first reactor. Now in July 2022, the construction, physical construction of the plant starts the pouring for the first cement and basis for the first unit of this nuclear power plant. It's expected that the construction of the first unit might be completed by 2028, and then it's followed by the other units, and the total program will be completed by 2030.
Yes, Doctor, you've just mentioned the safety. So to what extent can we guarantee the safety degrees in its construction?
Safety has different precautions. First, in the site selection itself. So the site selection is free from any seismic effects, earthquakes, tsunamis, and other natural effects. And the Dab'a basically sees all these kind of criteria.
So choosing the location of
the location first. Second is the selection of the technology itself. Actually, we selected the pressurized water reactor, which is the 3rd generation, with the most advanced generation, which came out after the substantial enhancement which has been carried out for the design of nuclear power plants after the previous events which has happened back in the 80s and late 70s, yes. 3 Mile Lands, Chernobyl, and so on. So it's based on the accumulated experiences, and this led that even in a country like France, now they even extend the lifetime of the nuclear power plant from 40 years to 60 years, which means that because it's too much safe and a lot of safety concerns has been considered, so it's able to have an extended lifetime. So also in operation, which is very much important to be well monitored, highly trained, and the contract include a 10-year contract of a joint operation of the plant, and then the Egyptian staff will take over for the operation.
Yes, yes. Doctor, how do you see the future of the nuclear energy in Egypt and its importance for the implementation of development projects?
It has a future. I couldn't say what's going to happen after the first program, but it's very much important because this is the first program, so it's very much important to look and see, because technology is being developed. But I could project from the international business, for example, the program for President Macron, the last program for the election, is to build additional 6 nuclear plants in France till 2050. So the nuclear plants start to resume, after the several incidents happened back in 80s and late 70s, the program has been slowed down, or the appetite of the international energy community has been slowed down. But now, considering the importance of CO2 emissions, the importance to have a reliable supply source, a long-living source, and the advances happen in the technologies. Now it has been regained, and we could see that in France they are planning to have additional 6 plants. Even with Germany, when they decided to phase out nuclear power plant, sure, with the current crisis they have it, now they may start to rethink about. North countries like Finland already have a nuclear program, so in the United States, in China, in India, so it's gaining power. Sure, how much it will have a part of the mix of the energy, it depends also on the development in other technology, specifically renewable energy.
Yes, yes. Doctor, now there's no doubt that Egypt on top of places on top of its priorities the transition to the new renewable energy sources or clean, environmentally friendly energy. So as it aims to reach a large percentage of the new renewable energy projects during also the coming COP27 climate change conference. So how do you see Egypt's position on the new and renewable energy projects?
Egypt's position is very good position. Actually, Egypt accelerated its renewable energy program. Egypt is a very rich country with renewable energy, both in solar and wind. Egypt has substantial quantities in wind energy. Also, lately, the cabinet allowed for going higher to the tip height for the windmills up to 120 meters, which is allow to have a higher capacity factor. Generated capacity factor means that you could generate more energy from the same windmill as you have a larger diameter mill, which is make it almost like close to conventional. Usually the main criticism to renewable energy is that this is a variable source, it's usually going up and down uncontrolled, but as you go for larger tip height for wind energy, you go for very high capacity factor, which means that it could provide a more steady supply of energy. So Egypt has very bright future. Egypt has proved its capacity through the previous period where we have some mega project which has been implemented. We have Benban project, one of the largest in the world scale, maybe not the largest, but one of the largest for sure. We have 2 complexes for wind energy, both in Zafarana and in Jabal al-Zayt. So Egypt already has proved, and the business on the business community, international, Egypt is part of the area of interest or country of interest for the development. But sure, regarding achieving the target which has been set in the strategy, we need to enhance our capacity, not just technical capacity, contracting capacity, permission capacity, having more conducive investment environment to attract investment.
Yes. Doctor, Egypt has the largest solar power plant in the world, in Aswan. So, and also the state is planning to include many projects for the new renewable energy with the transition of renewable energy sources. So, how important is the expansion of the solar power plants in Egypt?
It's very much important, but I will not say solar only. I say renewable at large, including solar and wind. Sure, first, renewable energy is relying on indigenous resources, solar and wind, which is available indigenously. You don't need to import that. It's renewable, which means that it will not be depleted like oil and gas. Furthermore, it's clean, so there is no CO2 emission or any other kind of pollutants which is coming out. Most importantly, it's cheaper now compared to the conventional sources. It's almost 40%. We could say that with the best efficient conventional unit, combined cycle unit with an efficiency over close to 60% and low cost gas, you might generate at 5 cents per kilowatt hour. But for solar and wind, you could generate between 2 and 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour. So it's almost half or less compared to others, which is give much better, could help in reducing price. But most importantly, it's predictable, which is predictability means that when you build a plant, conventional plant, around 70, from 60 to 70, depends on the cost of fuel of the generated kilowatt hour is a fuel cost. Fuel is a variable component. Nowadays, I couldn't guarantee to you the prices of generated kilowatt hour from any conventional plant regarding the turbulence in the hydrocarbon. Renewable doesn't consume fuels. So you could predict prices 25, even 30 years ahead, which is give much better stability to the prices and make it easy for economists to plan for future economy of Egypt.
Yes. Doctor, what would be the impact of the expansion of the solar power plants on its impact on economy and the social development plan of Egypt 2030?
As we mentioned, predictability and lower price, it means lower energy price, which is mean more competitive economy, creating more jobs. Furthermore, renewable energy plants are not a very sophisticated technology, specifically solar. So basically, the local share could be increased, which could help in creating jobs for sure, and giving Egypt a potential, because Egypt market is a very big market. So any marginal production above Egypt need will become with a very competitive price, which give Egypt an edge for exporting this kind of facilities and projects. So gaining experience help Egypt to export this experience specifically to Africa, where it's very much important to provide support to Africa to have what we call it a sustainable development plans, because sometimes maybe some developing countries start to take a path of using tried or what has been applied in past and go through the same path for development. We need to have a sustainable development plans. Egypt could play a role as it gained its own experience and could export. So making economy more competitive, reduce energy prices, and help Egypt to have a higher local share and export this kind of support to its neighboring countries.
Yes, yes. Doctor, And now with the global changes that is imposed on all the countries and the challenges facing the whole world, especially facing also Egypt, that the coming winter could require some preparations in the field of energy, and also not only in Egypt but in the whole world. But Egypt is trying to take energy strategies that includes many accesses. So how could Egypt face these challenges and also face the rise of the prices, energy prices globally?
Actually, we are not very much concerned with the coming winter because practically our energy consumption is reduced during winter compared to summer. This is not the case like Europe, where they need a substantial heating during winter, so they are relying. It's essential. They couldn't live without it. So this is a challenge. Egypt, we don't have such kind of high challenge. Also, Egypt is self-sufficient, even exporting country regarding gas and electricity. We have also substantial resources. Yes, Egypt imports oil because Egypt produce its oil products, all its needs from oil products, but Egypt rely on crude oil for its refineries. So Egypt is affected by the turbulence in prices, in the oil prices. But globally, as we was discussing before, renewable energy could represent a kind of a part of a solution. Energy efficiency is the most straightforward application. And even Repower Europe plan is basically, in addition to the diversification of supply, is relying to expediting and accelerated renewable energy program in addition to energy efficiency. So energy efficiency, renewable energy, diversification are the main three tools which could the world face this kind of challenge.
Yes. Doctor, what is the importance of the Benban solar energy complex in Egypt?
It's very much important because it was, as you mentioned, is one of the largest plants in the world. So it represents like a benchmark, and it was a very good experience, not only for renewable energy, but for attracting investment. Benban is basically 32 plants, where each plant is owned by different investors. So to organize this and to attract all this investment, to operate in one site and coordinate activities with a plant of that size, which was basically one of unique experiences. And this is why the World Bank, when it's offered its prize for the best project, not Benban as a renewable energy project, but Benban as an attractive for direct investment project, which was a very good example. And this is give us a kind of a hope that Egypt is very well prepared to attract this investment and could coordinate between different investors, but still we need to put more effort because yes, Benban is a mega project, but we need multi-Benbans in futures. So it needs a lot of effort to be continued and enhance our capacity to achieve our targets.
Yes. Doctor, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information. Dr. Hafez Al-Salmawy, former Chairman of Electricity Regulatory Authority and Professor of Energy, Zagazig University. Thank you very much
it's my
for coming.
Pleasure.
My pleasure
Thank you
too.
very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for following me in this segment. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Please stay with us for the rest of the segments in the Breakfast Show.